Hello, my name is DP Layton, and I am the Assistant Director for Creative Careers here at Arizona State University. I'm going to be talking with you today about how to prepare for creative career fairs. In particular, we're going to be looking at the importance of networking, research, and professionalism when it comes to career fairs for creative careers. In this presentation, we're going to be going over very important pre-event preparation, how to navigate an event itself, the day of, and also what you should be doing after the event. So before the event, it is important that you assess your personal promotional materials. So not just bringing your resume, but as a creative professional, thinking about your business cards, leave behinds, mailers, maybe even printed portfolios and things of that nature, as well as digital information on your laptop or an iPad or your phone, whether that be an online portfolio or film reel or something to that effect. You'll also want to make sure that you are researching the employers. In particular, if this is an event thrown by Arizona State University, you'll be able to see the lineup of employers on our Handshake profile for that event and see what opportunities they have and be able to go onto their websites. You're also going to want to think about things like traveling and timing for the day of as well as before. And last but not least, you're going to want to look at professional development opportunities through career and professional development services to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward. So getting to the event is a hassle in and of itself. The first thing to think about is cost and finances. If it's not hosted by Arizona State University, is there a registration fee? If it's not here on campus, what travel costs might you incur? That also goes into things like airfare and gas, food for the, leading up to the event, things like that. And last but not least, your promotional materials might also cost some money. So is it paying for your website domain or a new portfolio or printing your resume on good paper, things of that nature. You're also going to want to assess travel, not only for the day of and how you're actually going to get to the fair and how you're going to navigate around the career fair, but also the day before. If this is out of state, how are you getting there? Where's your transportation to and from your housing? Things of that nature you're going to want to keep in mind. You're also going to want to keep in mind your time management. Again, if it's out of state, how many days ahead of time are you going to be going there? The day of, how early are you going to be getting to the career fair? During your time in front of an employer, your pitch has to be a certain, limit in time. And afterwards, how are you going to manage your time following up these employers? And last, but certainly not least, again, is location exploration. What I mean by this is, where is the career fair itself? Where are employers located within that career fair? Where are you staying in relation to the location? And even things like, where are these employers located and where are these careers, these potential careers located? Looking into things like this is really going to help you make the most of the day of. Researching is extremely important when it comes to creative career fairs in particular, to make sure that you not only know your employers, but also the career fields that you're looking into. So first, start by researching yourself. Do an internet search of yourself and see what employers might see. Next, you're going to want to make sure that you research those organizations in Handshake, see what opportunities they have available, and then also go to their personal websites to see if there's any other opportunities that aren't necessarily listed on Handshake. You're also going to want to research the people that are inside those companies. If you're lucky on Handshake, there'll be an email address and contact information for a recruiting manager for certain employers on Handshake. But you can also find this information out by doing preliminary searches of these companies. You're going to want to also assess your fit and how you feel about the company and how you think the company might feel about you. Do you have the technical expertise to carry out these positions? Is this a company in an industry that you're interested in? And do the company's morals, ethics, and values align with yours? And then last, you're going to want to make sure that you're preparing your questions. Make sure that when you get in front of an employer at a career fair, you have informed questions to ask them that aren't just generic, but are very specific to their company. You're going to want to make sure, of course, that you're printing your resume Try and select a good quality paper to print your resume on so that you're standing apart. And think about color schemes and Pantones when it comes to your resume and trying to stand out from the rest. Make sure you're getting your resume reviewed by Career and Professional Development Services. And consider making 2 resumes, one for creative careers and maybe one more conventional resume. You're going to want to also invest, if you haven't already, in a Padfolio. No spiral notebooks, no 3-ring binders. Make sure that you have a professional Padfolio to take notes on, to store your business cards and resumes and other materials. Next, you're going to want to consider technology for the day of. Plan for the worst case scenario. If you do have digital technology that you're using, prepare for the worst if there is no internet and no cell phone coverage. And also what happens if your battery dies. Make sure that you have many backup plans so that if you are showing a reel or portfolio on technology, that you're using that. And then of course your business cards and promo materials, you're going to want to consider where you're getting these printed, the price point for these, what your return on investment are, and making sure again that you are getting these materials reviewed by a professional before you go to print. Preparing yourself is a different matter. First, you're going to want to select a good outfit and keep it nice and clean for the day of, and we'll get to that a little bit later. As we said before, you're going to want to research those employers and prepare informed questions for the day of event. Third, you're going to want to make sure again that you're taking all the opportunities that Career and Professional Development Services has, such as upgrading your interview skills, reviewing your resume, making appointments with a career and industry specialist, and all the other opportunities that are available through Handshake and other platforms. And then of course, your pitch is very important. Rehearsing your pitch of how you're going to sell yourself to the potential employers on that day. So, tailoring the materials to your brand, career, industry, and the opportunity can be a little bit tricky, but there's some pretty generic things that all creative careers are going to need. You're going to need business cards at some point, a resume, cover letter, some type of portfolio of showing and proving that you can do the work, and potentially, depending on your industry, a one-pager. You're going to want to contemplate the industry that you're going into and that you're researching, as well as your own technical proficiencies. Before you go printing things like a portfolio or business cards, make sure that you're at a level at which you're not wasting your money on printing something that's just going to get upgraded and changed the next day. You're also going to want to consider things like this brand cohesion. Do your business cards, your resume and cover letter, your website, do they all match up and look like they're from the same person? Or do they have differing fonts and typefaces and color schemes? You're also going to want to look at both cost and sustainability. If you're environmentally minded, what is the impact of printing materials such as this or using certain technologies? And also, what is the cost? Can you afford to print a certain number of business cards, or do you need to find more cost-effective ways? Again, we talked about looking at your own web presence and social media. Make sure that you have a professional web presence. And of course, you're going to want to look into your industry preferences and what professionals in your industry are preparing to bring to events of this nature, and what employers are looking for you to bring in these career fairs. So, dressing for success can mean a couple of different things when it comes to creative careers. Again, it depends on the industry that you're going into and your profession. More often than not, though, when push comes to shove, dress for the event and not the job that you want. No one's ever going to slight you for being dressed too professionally at a career fair. Professionalism and etiquette at a career fair is very important. Some of these things seem second nature, but they bear repeating. Don't eat while talking to your employers. Again, make sure you're doing that research ahead of time, having those thoughtful questions for them. You're going to want to be respectful of the time of both the employer and the people who are in line behind you, and you're going to want to make sure that you are following up with these employers in a timely manner. For the entertainment industry in particular, don't gossip or disrespect any other school, any other college or degree program, any other industry. Believe me, the entertainment industry is a very tight-knit community, and bad news travels fast. You're going to want to make sure that you know your industry and you're up to date with the latest trends and the most up-to-date news. Make sure that when you're in front of that employer, you're not out of date. You're going to want to make sure you're also open with your career, so don't consider anything, or don't discredit anything that might be a potential career. Be open to new opportunities. You're going to want to make sure, again, in that vein, you're looking at all the companies, not just the top 5 on your list. But if there's no line for one employer, think about going up to them and getting a little bit more information from them. And once again, following up with these employers the next day to send a thank you note, collecting those business cards, taking important notes, and following up with them afterwards is extremely important. So telling your story and getting your pitch out there is extremely important to tell other people just how awesome you are. But how are you going to tell that unique story, and how are employers going to remember you? Well, it's pretty straightforward. You're going to want to start by identifying your strengths and experience and think about what the outcome of your pitch is going to be. You're going to want to make sure you write it down and edit it and then practice it with a friend. The goal of this is to make sure that you've got a tight 30-second commercial of yourself ready to go. Most employers will only have between 3 and 5 minutes with you. It's kind of like a Disneyland ride. You wait a lot longer in line than you get on the ride itself. So make sure that you're making the most out of that time in front of the employer. When scripting your pitch, start with your why of why you do the things that you do, why you're passionate about it. Then follow up with how and your technical proficiencies, and then finish with the what of what you bring to the table, what type of job you're hoping to get, and so forth. So again, start with your why, showcase your how, and explain your what. Write it down, practice it so that you're off script, and then make sure you've got your tight 30 seconds in front of an employer. You're also, again, going to want to make sure that you follow up after your pitch with informed questions for that employer and take notes. Again, following up is extremely important. You want to make sure that you are networking and following up for success afterwards, even if you didn't particularly think you connected with that company or liked the opportunities that they had. Building your network is so important. And really, you should only take about 24 to 48 hours to respond to every single employer whose business card you got that day with a thank you note. So again, this helps by taking notes when you're speaking with them and asking for your business card and leaving your business card or resume with them, and then sending them an email and connecting on LinkedIn and other social media platforms that are appropriate for your industry. Make sure you're only connecting on professional associations and not things like Facebook. Depending on the industry that you're in, platforms like Instagram might be industry standard, but hold off on that until you get a little bit further down the road. When it comes to a career fair, you're going to want to stick with LinkedIn and platforms such as that. So your final checklist is pretty straightforward. You're going to research the heck out of those companies. You're going to want to make sure that you're preparing your materials and yourself ahead of time. You're going to want to craft and prepare that pitch. Make sure that your resume is reviewed and on point, and you're going to want to follow up with those employers within 24 hours of the career fair. To make a creative career appointment with myself or a creative career peer, you're going to want to make sure you log into Handshake, select the Career Center and Appointments, schedule a new appointment, and then find Creative Careers. We can help you with your resume, interview, and application materials specifically tailored for creative career fields within design, performance, and the arts. Just remember that the sooner you start, the further you'll go. Thank you for your time, and best of luck at your next creative career fair.